Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the farm. We're back at it today with some more harvest prep. We've still got a handful of things to get done on the combines and the header equipment to make sure they're ready to go for this harvest. And we were also blessed last night with 9/10 of rain, something that we did not need at all. But we're going to get to it. Make sure you smash that like button, leave a comment down below, let me know what you think. The header height control sensor on that 630 FD still needs straightened out. The S670 that it's hooked up to has a software update that needs done. The S780 needs some more programming. We need to mount another monitor. And our corn head that we had out yesterday, that C8R, Dad thinks it was making a strange noise. So we're gonna take this out, hook it up, and hopefully a mechanic will come by and give us their expert opinion on whether or not it's supposed to do that. When you're running farm equipment, sometimes it's kind of challenging to know if a sound is a good one or a bad one, especially if it's brand new, different model. They relocated the battery shutoff to the driver's side of the combine. How shiny that is. There was just enough rainfall to soften up the drive and make this a little bit messy today. Unfortunate, but not enough to stop us from working. A few more calibrations before we hook up to the head. Can't have anything attached to the feeder house to do some of these, and might as well get them out of the way now. A lot of calibrating on a brand new combine. Typically you only have to do these if you make a change to a major piece of equipment, whether that be a sensor or a mechanical part. There's only one calibration on this combine that requires a legitimate measurement off the ground, and it says to go from the pivot bolt, but I'm not sure which bolt is the pivot bolt. There's more than one bolt that it pivots on. I dredged through the operator's manual, couldn't find the answer to what exactly the pivot bolt was. Looked on YouTube, found it in less than 30 seconds. We did have it correct. We have it where we want it. Hit next. And we're just going to do it till the front faces vertical and we're done. Didn't think you'd see me again so soon, cornhead. No days off here. The cornhead is ready for inspection at whatever time the mechanic shows up. Now we're on to the more pressing issue, which is straightening out this bar. This shaft right here runs all the way across. It's connected to the header height sensors. It allows the head to kind of know where it's at when it's adjusting with the auto header height control. And as you can see right there, it is not a straight bar, it is bent, which coincidentally, if you cannot tell, is also where the head card hooks up, so maybe someone missed the mark on that one. We're about to take a very unique approach to straightening this out. A backhoe and a draper together. Never a good sign. This could go either very well or very poorly. You guys will get to find out. We're trying to avoid heating up that bar and warping it any more than it's already warped. So we're going to use some hydraulic power. I don't know if we're going to pull down with the hoe or hold the bar down with the chain and lift up with the draper. Either way, we're going to give this a shot.
Oh! Now go ease up. Up a little easy. Hand in there.
Hold it. Up a little. Up! Right, a little more. There more. There more. Up. Up a lot. Oh!
Not exactly brand new, but pretty close. You can definitely tell there was some prying done there. Obviously the bar is much straighter than it was before, but the jury is still out on whether or not that's going to fix our problem. We're going to take a look at it, see if we can calibrate it, and we may also try taking the sensors off that we replaced, because if those were not the problem, there's no reason to keep them. Each one of those was easily over $100 a piece, and we're not exactly in the business of giving John Deere free money for no reason. This is the 735 parked in the barn. This is the sensor right here that we replaced on both sides of the head on the 630 FD. You can see down in there it connects to that bar. What our mechanic was theorizing is that because that bar was bent, it wasn't allowed the flex or the roll it needed to actually adjust for the height, so the sensor wasn't getting a proper reading. If we can get away with putting the old sensors back on and working fine, we'd save ourselves 200 bucks, and we also didn't have to replace that bar. I believe it only runs across half the head, but still it couldn't have been cheap. It probably would have been complicated. Very confident about this. 100th time's a charm, ready to calibrate. Although Marty's not helping my cause. Here we go, raise the head. Nope, Center height, sensor 3, raised voltage is less than lower. So the issue still persists. I'm not sure what we're going to do from here. We have a software update to do on one of these monitors that's supposed to take over an hour, which is a ridiculously long amount of time to have to leave your combine running when these things depreciate at almost $200 an hour. So we're back in here to the barn. We're going to plug in the battery charger. Combine's not going to be running, but the battery's going to be on. That way it can sit here, burn power, but it's not putting hours on the machine. Oh yeah, 75 minutes. Wow. Do not turn the key, do not remove power. Okay, hopefully the internet connection's good between John Deere and the satellites, because it's not hooked up to anything here. To get it snugged in here a little bit better, I put the unloading auger out. That way I didn't end up with any trees on the auger. Back in the 9620R, we've got to do our normal calibrations. We have to calibrate the TCM, which is the terrain compensation module. That just gives you a little bit more accuracy with the GPS. It accounts for the tilt of the tractor and the yaw, all that jazz. But the second thing I have to do is remove this screen. I mentioned that our S780 didn't ship with all of the electronics that it was supposed to, one of which was an extended monitor. This is basically just another monitor. There's nothing smart going on it other than just being able to display things. All of the brains are right here on this 4600 Gen 4 display. Because it seems unnecessary to have this monitor in the 9620 and we don't have one for the combine, we're going to pull it out of here, take it outside, put it in the S780. It's very useful to have a lot of screens for harvesting. You can put your yield data on one and control your combine on the other. Driving a tractor, I'm not really sure that you need a whole lot of information other than seeing your auto steer lines and possibly some of your hydraulic stuff. So we're going to do that real quick. You can get over how big this tractor is. It makes those 9460Rs seem small. Oh, would you look at that? Even the tractor is on top of its housekeeping. Calibrate TCM. Hit OK. We're going to go to that page. You would think that that would take us there. I guess not. Go to System. I actually don't know where it is because I'm not used to this. Control setup. No. Machine setup. Calibrations. There we go. Hey, you figure it out eventually. Except for that's not what I need. There was another page down here. I found it. Starfire. Machine. There we go. That's the page we're looking for. 3D SF1, which is the most basic level of auto steer. Click calibrate. All we do now is pick a very fixed position with one axle. So I line the front axle up with that grain bin door. I hit calibrate. It does its thing. I do a little burnout around real quick, come back and park my same front axle on the same line but headed south. That looks good enough for me. Come back here, hit calibrate. Beep boop bop. Calibrating. And we're done. Pretty much ready to rock and roll. It's not exactly incredibly important to have this extremely kosher. All we're going to be doing is pulling a tillage implement through the field and not in a precise manner. As long as we're working the same ground and not overlapping too much, that's what we're going for. If we were doing something more highly intensive like strip till or anything like that jazz, we would probably want that to be really accurate, and we would also be probably using RTK and not SF1. But hey, 4 people have 4 ways. So let's take this monitor out. Oh, Jeff, I'm so sorry about your drive here. This tractor just did a number. See how hard it is to take this out. It's got a little wing nut, and that, well, that was super easy. Plug all these holes up. We don't want any of our data leaking out. And just like that, it's just a worthless monitor now. Before I completely disassemble that display and that tractor, I'm going to look at the combine and see what hardware we need. Not only did we not get a monitor with the combine, which it should ship at a later date, we also didn't get the bracket. Fortunately, our John Deere dealership was nice enough to loan us a bracket to put up there. I don't know what kind of hardware it's going to have though, so I'm going to dig into this. Free the air. Be relieved of your oppression. When in Rome, right? You got to do it. They must have been worried about this getting damaged. Not much different than the bracket from the other combine. I'll get it secured up there real quick. I wonder whose idea it was to make these bolts fitted for Allen wrenches. Seems unnecessary. Dad was courteous enough to take that monitor out for me. Looks like we're gonna need 4 bolts in the back, no brackets from the other tractor, and it should just fit right on here, no problem, and we'll have a second monitor. We're installed, let's fire it up. One monitor's got power, second one has nothing. Oh, reboot. System's rebooting. The suspense is killing me. There we go. We have success. Double monitor. It's quite a while to load. On the bright side though, I do have foot pegs to be comfortable while I wait. This is probably what Dad's going to be doing a lot of this year while he waits on that slow grain cart driver. Feet up, auger out, relaxing. I wonder if our 75-minute update is done. And successful. And we didn't put a single minute on the machine to do so. Counter victories there. 9 times out of 10, you're usually better off doing the updates. Now there is the off chance on that 10th time that the update screws everything up. More often than not though, everything's run smoother with less disruption if you just do the updates. Besides, didn't have to worry about power. If you all hadn't gathered it by now, I really love technology. I'm a self-proclaimed geek per se. This S780 combine may be the coolest machine that I've ever been in, or at least on our farm. The level of technology and customization available to farmers is better than I've ever seen before. But it's pretty much wasted on my dad because he's the opposite of high tech. He's more of a simple mechanical man. I was born with technology, so it makes a lot more sense to me. I've been playing around with this for the last 20 minutes, and these screens right here are fully customizable. I can pretty much have anything I want on either screen. I can move them around back and forth. I can hit this button, switch screens, move it around, switch screens again. That is just fascinating. And I haven't even started customizing this. Part of the reason I'm in this machine right now is to get it in a state where my dad can use it, has everything he wants. He won't necessarily get lost here, but he has a harder time customizing these things than I do. I think I have the screens in a pretty good orientation. Got some yield up there, auto steer settings, some harvest data. Down here I have all the combine settings. Flip-flop around if you want to see some totals, some records, then another additional harvest page with a different view. And of course, on the bottom here, there's a hot bar with all these different things: auto steer, guidance track, video, residue control, and then not to mention all your fixed buttons down here. So this should be relatively easy for the boss to run. That or I'll just take over and he can run the grain cart. I just can't get over how good looking this corn head and combine are together. It's probably more so that they're brand new and spotless than the fact that they're John Deere. Just kidding. I think just by being John Deere, they look better than 99% of the competition. And now we wait on the John Deere mechanic. Still got to look over that corn head, make sure there's nothing wrong with it. And they're going to have to look at this draper because we can't quite figure out what's wrong. Maybe the sensor needs some kind of manual adjustment. Moving that bar didn't make a difference. We replaced the sensor already, so it can't be that, unless the off chance that 2 were bad in a row, which is highly unlikely. I guess we'll know when the experts show up. Other than having to leave it sitting out, it's not like we're in a hurry. We're not going to be using it today or really this week. The crops are maturing, wind's blowing, we're drying down a little bit. We're not going to be in the fields probably for another 10 days at least. I figured the software update would come with an outside cleaning. Must not be part of the package. Another item on our pre-harvest agenda is switching the direction on all of the fans at our main farm. We have 3-phase power here, which means that there's 2 hot wires to each fan. If we switch those 2 hot wires, it reverses the direction of the fan. For cleaning out the bin when we're in there, we like to pull the air out. But in the fall, when we're wanting to dry grain and move the moisture, we want to suck air in and blow it up through the grain. So right now we're going around, switching those back. And by going around, I mean Dad is. Usually he does it because he has the highest life insurance policy. Not that we don't quadruple check to make sure all the breakers are off, there's no power going to the fans. But the risk to reward is there for him to do it versus me, so we just let him do it. We haven't even had the combines and header equipment out for 2 days, and we're on our 2nd service call. At least we don't run cloth equipment because it'd take about a month to get a service man here. Some kind of a rattle down there in that area where the PTO meets the chain drive. I'm not quite sure what it is, that's why the expert's here. Still troubleshooting. The first thing that the mechanic noticed is that somehow when we picked up this head, we grabbed that bottom bar right there and bent it a little bit. You can actually see some wear marks on it and then some cooperating wear marks on the auger itself. So we had to go there on both sides, stand on those, bend them back down. That helped a little bit. And then that shield over there that houses the auger drive was just kind of rattly. It's that way because that's just the way it is. Now back to this old piece of junk. Fortunately, we got all the kinks worked out of the 630FD. The service tech from John Deere figured out the problem, traced it back to the sensors being wrong. We made some adjustments there. He programmed the new sensors and everything is good to go. Thankfully, we can harvest with auto header control. It sounds tremendously unnecessary, but it's very nice to have this header control. It keeps that draper cutting very low across the ground, and you shouldn't drag up as much. I think that this problem may have existed for the last few years because this head has been notoriously difficult to cut beans with. It's reliable, but it does drag up quite a bit. I have a large amount of respect and appreciation for quality service techs like Mike from Alliance Tractor. That is one of Deere's largest selling points, is that the dealership network and service availability is the best in the nation. I'm sure other brands have them beat in Europe and other places, but in the United States, you cannot go wrong with Deere. Obviously, there were some issues with the sensor here, but he said that that bar in there being bent was definitely part of the problem. We fixed that. He fixed this sensor and then fixed the sensor over there, and now it's good to go. Ready to cut some beans here in a week or two. Okay, everyone, that's going to conclude our work for the day. We still have a long list of things to get done before harvest, but I do have a few things to get done. One of those items on the list involves this S780 right here, my drone and my camera to get some cool shots for a video that you're actually going to already have watched by the time you see this one. So I appreciate you all tuning in. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. If you can't tell, I'm extremely excited for harvest. I'm looking forward to it. Everyone have a great day. Peace.